Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We are approaching the finish line of day 1 of week 2 of season 2 of the Hearthstone Legendary Series, brought to you by ESL. Cam Dozer Reed filling in for Frodan, joined by the incomparable TJ Azimokuti Sanders. Now, our last match of the day is going to be Trump versus Roger. Seems like on paper a really evenly matched game when you just look at both of the players. Now, do the decks that we've seen so far give any more insight into who should be favored here?
It's hard to say because neither of these guys has a lineup that stands out above the other. They both brought like a mix of decks that are strong and like one deck that's arguable. Like Trump brought both Paladin and Mage, who, I mean, nobody will argue that those are strong decks right now.
Right.
But then he brought Warrior, which some people are a little bit on the fence about Warrior in the current meta. On the other hand, Roger brought Rogue and Druid, which are great. Everybody will agree that they're great decks. And then he brought Warlock. It's a very traditional hand lock, which, again, some people are on the fence about right now. So I don't necessarily would give either player an advantage based on just their lineups alone, but matchups are going to play a big part. Yeah.
And the first matchup we're going to see is Trump's Freeze Mage versus the pretty standard sort of oil rogue from Roger.
Was it Mech?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say it was Mech Mage?
Yeah.
I got it confused because in my mind I remembered seeing
the Water
Elemental.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was absolutely the Mech Mage. So, who do you think this favors? Because
Mage.
You think it favors the Mage?
Yeah.
The Rogue definitely has some ways to mix it up early, though.
Yeah.
Between backstabs, SI7, just dagger, deadly poison, definitely has ways to keep the Mage from getting out of hand in that early game.
Yeah, but that's ideally. And the Mech Mage doesn't really need an explosive start to just run away with the game. There's so many cards that Mech Mage has, and especially Trump, who techs in the Water Elemental, makes it tougher.
Yeah.
That can just win the game.
Yeah.
Snow Trigger early on, if you don't have an answer for it, or if you hide it behind an Anoyotron, really hard to deal with. You ramp up quickly with a Mech Warper, get an early Paladin Shredder out, force the Rogue to use their face, use their weapons to attack in, get them within burst range. Pressure is Oil Rogue's like weakest point. They fall to pressure all the time, and it's one of the things that you have to make sure you do when you want to beat an Oil Rogue. And Mech Mage just does that naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. Although it can, at times, be really difficult to put that consistent pressure on the Rogue because, again, sometimes I'm shocked by the plays they're able to pull off in order to clear my board.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see how it goes. We should be jumping into the Mulligan phase pretty soon, so we'll get maybe a better idea. But I think the early game is really, maybe more so than in other matches, going to determine how this one plays out.
Yeah, and with Mech Mage, a lot of times that's just how it is. With aggressive decks in general, if you make it through the first 4 turns with a board that goes unscathed, or you just get a Snow Trigger out and that's it.
Right.
It's like, what is the Rogue going to do if they don't have answers to the first couple drops that you put out?
Yeah, the unanswered Snow Chugger, especially like you said with teching in the Water Elemental versus a weapon class, can be absolutely devastating. There are times where even there's this really juicy trade for the Snow Chugger, but it's like, no, I still think the right play is to just prevent 4 of the cards that are in your deck from being useful at all this entire game.
And also, I mean, we haven't seen it, but there is a potential that Trump has Blingtron.
That's true.
And even though Blingtron is not the best, sometimes you can destroy a better weapon and replace it with a worse weapon.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Or you might give them a Gorehowl.
Yeah, you could do
Either
that.
or.
You could do that. That would make for a pretty intense Blade Flurry.
Yes, it would. An oiled Gorehowl.
Oiled Gorehowl.
Scary. This is not a great starting hand.
No, absolutely is not. Most likely just a hero power pass on turn 2, depending on the top deck from Trump, which feels so rough when you're playing the Mech Mage. And that's your time to set up that tempo, to get that insane board early.
When you're a Rogue and you see just a hero power on turn 2, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This game is in the bag. Coin SI agent.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Any merit, though, to just daggering to save the coin as more combo potential later. Even it counts as a spell for your Violet Teacher, maybe.
I like SI7 agent here. You're putting a creature on the board to match up to whatever he's going to put out next turn.
That's true. Yeah, because next turn then he's going to have a spider tank on the board. There's that water elemental. See what he's going to be able to pull off with that. Of course, 2 saps for the rogue.
Yeah.
The water elemental probably feels like a pretty good sap target to me.
I might just sap the spider tank.
Right now?
Yeah.
So, presuming you sap the spider tank then, are there better targets? I guess, yeah, you might be right. The only other target really I can think of for a sap would be to get an Annoyatron out of the way. That might be preventing you from one of your crazy combo turns.
Yeah. He doesn't go ahead and do it, but if he had a good turn play for the next turn, that would be able to deal with the spider tank, then yes, that's something that you would almost automatically go for as a sap, because you're buying yourself some time. He'd be able to just like dagger up in the situation, like if he had an oil.
Right.
But he realizes that really his options aren't going to improve next turn. He's still going to have to dagger up and kill that eventually.
Yeah. Choosing not to sap the water elemental.
He'll never be able to use that dagger again.
Yeah. Absolutely, because if you look at the cards he has in hand, other than sap, he doesn't really have any hard removal. This water elemental at worst is going to trade pretty effectively.
Yeah. He can just fireball, attack face.
Yep.
I mean, he might not want to do that because he thinks he may need that reach for later on. But that's the best way to take care of it right now. He could also just freeze it, but then you're giving him 1/1s.
Right.
Yeah, kind of messy. You don't really want to have to deal with that. But you are building up a little bit bigger of a board.
Okay. Mirror Entity. I like it. I mean, the best minion, or the worst minion that Roger can give him is this Farseer.
Yeah, it's Curvilicious also. Where's Fireball? You're floating a mana. Ooh, Deadly Poison just for 1 charge.
Oh,
just
that's
to
the
get
worst.
rid of the water elemental. Oh,
that is the worst. Yeah, you're hoping that the Deadly Poison will at least go 2 for 1 or get 2 charges.
Yeah.
For a Blade Flurry, something along those lines.
And then he's going to play the Snow Chugger, and he's going to be like forced to sap it almost. Feel obligated to sap it.
Yeah, I think so.
Just be able to attack the following turn. I mean, without a oil or a poison in his hand, maybe not, but the perpetual freeze. The never-ending freeze.
Winter is coming.
Yeah.
All right, Trump dropping as many of his cards as he can, essentially, on that turn. And if you have Loatheb here, I think he needs to Azure. I think what you need at this point as the Rogue is some sort of answers to this board at this point. None of these really are. The Snow Chugger's just going to hit him in the face. And he's looking at 6 damage right now. It's that pressure that you were talking about earlier. I wonder if I sap the Snow Chugger instead of...
Yeah. Mad Scientist is a big tempo play, sapping the Mad Scientist, because he could trade in the Mad Scientist really easily and then make it so that his next creature, Loatheb or Azure Drake, gets stolen, which is a big deal.
Right.
He's just going to play it again.
Yeah.
But it buys him a turn. Oh, wow.
Oh, man. All right. This is rough. So you probably have to Loatheb to prevent yourself from getting wrecked next turn by double Fireball.
Yep. And he takes out the Snow Chugger finally, but that Snow Chugger's already done some pretty decent work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be honest, I would just Mech Warper, freeze the Loatheb, and just keep pounding.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's he's got a Fireball in his hand. All he needs to do is be able to connect 5 damage the following turn.
That's right.
Which that Loatheb doesn't seem like it's going anywhere.
Right. I mean, the best thing that Roger has in hand right now to answer that Loatheb is a sap.
Yeah.
But even then, you're still dead to the Fireball.
Yep.
See Azure Drake, see if he can fish something out and get a nice Fan of Knives.
Nope.
Clears a little bit of damage, doesn't prevent lethal though. All right. That's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen, for game 1.
Yeah, and I mean that water elemental went such a long way in that early game, and I mean Roger played that about as well as he could have.
Yeah.
A couple of points where he might have been able to go a different route with his plays, but that's such a tough matchup to win, and Trump played that really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Trump just always playing incredibly solid Hearthstone.
Never really too risky.
Right. Never any plays that are just utterly mind-blowing and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he pulled that off. But always just very respectable, very solid play out of Trump. Just sort of always knows what the safest, right decision is to make, and always seems to make it.
And that sort of playstyle really fits Mech Mage. You're not going to do fancy things with Mech Mage.
Yeah.
Just if you're playing Mech Mage to do fancy things, get over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows what it does, and he plays it effectively. Techs in some cards like Water Elemental that improve his matchup dramatically against Warrior, against Rogue. And, yeah, just really solid play. But Mech Mage is out of the way.
Yeah.
Same thing happened in the last series. Still got to find wins with the Paladin, with the Warrior.
Right.
And there's a Druid floating out there for Roger. So
the Warrior probably has... There's still the Rogue in there. So do you try to go for the Paladin and get another win and then just have 3 chances in a row potentially if you're Trump with the Warrior, hoping to get that Rogue so you just get that win?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If you can pick the Paladin here and get a win over, like, say, the Druid, just paves the way for your Warrior.
Right.
Or if you can take the Paladin here and get a win, really over anything, it just paves the way for that Warrior. So he's in a pretty good spot. It's not like Last Hero Standing though. In Last Hero Standing, if you won the first match, you had an obvious advantage.
Right.
Because you had the counter advantage. You had the turn. Your opponent would counter your deck, then you'd counter their deck. Your opponent would counter your deck, then you'd counter their deck for the win.
Sure.
The Conquest is not like that. It gives the losing player also a chance to just completely come back because Trump's still got to find wins with those other decks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what Roger decides. If he's going to stick with the Rogue one more time. The Rogue has a lot of really good matchups just in the overall meta right now, but he does have the option also to go with his own Druid or Warlock in response to either the Paladin or the Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the matchups earlier, but Trump actually has a really fantastic lineup against Rogue. But Paladin, Mech Mage, and Warrior, well, Paladin not, but if you play a more control-heavy style of Paladin, you still have a chance. But 2 out of 3 in Conquest, being strong in 2 out of 3 of the matchups.
That's really great.
It's great.
It's about as good as you can hope for.
On average, you want them to be good against one of the 3 decks.
Right, right.
Because then if you think you're the better player, you'll come out on top. But I think Trump definitely has the advantage in that situation.
Now, I am getting word that Trump is still trying to decide what deck to bring.
Oh, wow.
And always kind of the calculating player, always trying to think what are all the possibilities. But he has made up his mind, and it is going to be the Warrior. Roger's switching it up a little bit too, going to the Druid.
And I think Trump, he realizes that he's up against Druid, and he wanted to dodge the Druid at all costs with the Warrior.
Yeah.
And pick up... He
Look at his face.
he went Warrior because he wanted to try and sneak a win with the Warrior right now against non-Druid.
Right, right.
But didn't work out for him. Roger read him like a book.
Yeah, perfectly. So we'll see if Trump is able to pull some sort of a shenanigans out of his hat to take the 2-0 lead.
Yeah. This matchup is rough, but it's not impossible.
Right.
Warriors, they used to be sort of the epitome of consistency. They used to be sort of in Druids with that, thrown in that bundle with the Druids where they don't really have any terrible matchups, but they don't really have any over-the-top great matchups. But nowadays, there's a little more variance. They can just have dead draws. They're forced to use their removal early and then just don't draw into any of the threats.
Yeah.
But they don't really have much room for error right here, and I can already tell that Trump's hand's not that great.
No, it's looking pretty rough. And if Roger's able to pick up either a Wild Growth or an Innervate too, his actually isn't looking that bad. You see the big Dr. Boom, Cenarius, and Ancient Allure in hand. And early, it's really easy to say, oh, dead cards for a long time, looks okay, maybe Trump can survive. But the way Well, that was no help. Anyway, as I was saying, the way the Druid can curve out can just be punishing.
This is a really clogged hand, though. Giving the Warrior room to maneuver is what's going to lose Druid the game. Because they need to leverage the combo in the mid-ish to late-ish game to be able to force the Warrior to play really reactively and really defensively. But this really just... Trump's probably feeling confident right now. Whatever comes down next turn, he'd be able to cool Taskmaster's Armor Smith and be able to deal with it in that way. So...
Other than the Shade, of course.
Yeah, having a slow hand is actually not that great. Because now, with the Shield Slam, Trump's going to be able to deal with whatever comes out next turn. Really rough. It's not a good Druid start.
No, it's definitely not. He's missing... There's the Innervate, though.
Innervate coin, Dr. Boom.
Innervate coin, D-Boom. See, this is what I was just talking about. All it takes is one of those ramp cards, and all of a sudden, there's a tremendous amount of pressure.
Yeah, but there's a Dr. Boom waiting on the other end. Or Big Game Hunter waiting on the other end for that Dr. Boom.
That's true. Go ahead and swing with the Shade, too. Well,
yeah.
I mean, it seems like a pretty clean play right now. You just probably... Well, shoot, it can be really tricky. Dealing with Boombots is always... I'm never sure what the correct sequencing is when I've got Boombots to deal with.
Yeah, I think he needs to trade into the Shade here with his Armor Smith. And then, or this is risky.
See, because I was just going to say, you want to get greedy to get the extra armor from the Boombot.
But if your Armor Smith dies...
But if your Armor Smith dies, now you've got the Shade and no real way to deal with it.
Yeah. I think Armor Smith into Shade, then trade into one of the Boombots, then BGH, I think is the best course of action.
Trump getting greedy. Here we go. Is he going to get punished for it?
Nope.
No. Worked out exactly how I think he wanted it to. Maybe face would have been slightly more favorable there, but he does get 2 armor out of it.
Will he get even greedier?
And kill for the second Boombot instead of the Shade?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He actually might be shield slamming here. Is a potential as well. And
okay.
Oh!
Wow!
Whoa!
That Boombot could have just ruined that play.
Whoa, Trump.
Wow, look at the smile on his face, too. He knows it.
That's a misplay. I think that's a misplay, because if that Boombot hits for 3, and you shield slam without realizing, or you can't shield slam anymore, Trump looks like a deer caught in headlights right now. He's like, wow.
No, he doesn't.
That could have sucked.
He just looks like a guy who's real grateful.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm Trump. What you gonna do about it?
Hashtag never lucky. Not necessarily so.
He just gave himself a slap across the face. Yeah. He's like, bad Trump. Don't make those plays.
Well, it paid off for him. He got greedy.
We'll say this. I've seen cleaner ways to deal with Dr. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But it wound up working so effectively.
Yeah. But when you're playing the game of my threat, your threat against Warrior, most likely not going to come out on top.
Yeah. All right, so Shredder hero power here.
The Warriors
just waiting to see what he can get out of that Ancient Allure next turn.
Yeah, Warriors had a chance to just sit back and armor up. I mean, he's at almost 40 health right now. Combo doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and Dr. Boom coming down, making his impact.
Roger's sitting there like,
oh,
he dealt with my Dr. Boom so inefficiently, but he's still ahead.
But he's still way ahead.
What went wrong? No wild growth or anything to play before turn 3. That's what went wrong, Roger.
Yep. All right, so Dr. Boom coming down, yeah, kind of forces him out of the Ancient Allure play, which is unfortunate because he definitely wants to start cycling through that deck and get to some more pressure that he can start to try to whittle down that health pool of the Warrior a little bit to set up the combo.
Yeah. You can actually guarantee a He can Shield Slam his own Sylvanas here to steal Roger's Sylvanas. I think that's the best line of play here.
That's a shoot. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, guaranteed Dr. Boom or something is going to kill what pops out of.
Yeah, you can throw the Dr. Boom into the Pilot Shredder.
Yeah.
Kill it with Shield Maiden or Boom Bot, whichever, and then Shield Slam your own Sylvanas to steal his. I think that seems really reasonable.
It's pretty nice.
No, never mind. I was going to say you can even throw in a Cruel Taskmaster for good measure, but only 8 mana.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Just a little short of that option.
Yeah. He's thinking through all of his options right now, but I don't really see any better plays. Otherwise, that Sylvanas would just be too hard to deal with. You can't throw down your own Sylvanas, because then he could just trade into your Dr. Boom.
Right.
Oh, man. I really don't like Sludge Belcher.
Yeah. I don't know how much I agree with that either.
I mean, I guess he's...
Then again, it's just the safe, sort of consistent play. He's still going to wind up showing 13.
He's also putting him at 9.
Yeah,
so maybe,
exactly.
Maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself.
Yeah. And Druid, not one of those classes that's particularly capable of pulling off its own cheeky, I'll kill my own Sylvanas kind of plays.
Yeah. All right, so he can...
What keeps him alive here? Ancient of Lore for heal? Obviously not. Popping something amazing out of that?
Oh!
Hey, a little spell damage. So he can now...
He can swipe Wrath for 2 on the Sludge and then steal what's left of Dr. Boom with his Sylvanas. Or he's going to do it this way. Either way is the same outcome.
Right.
So, I mean, this...
Real nice. Wait a second.
Okay,
he wants a healthier Dr. Boom.
Yeah, that's
nice.
And reduces him in the armor. See, this is
and reduces the armor.
This is where stealing the Sylvanas last turn from Trump would have been an infinitely better play in that situation.
Right, prevents all of this.
Yeah. So now, instead of being in a position where he had a Dr. Boom and a Sylvanas on his board, now he's still in a good spot just because... I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I mean, what can he do? He can put down his own Sylvanas here. Hope it trades into Dr. Boom. Doesn't feel that great. Could Shield Slam Dr. Boom is a start there, and then maybe just drop the Acolyte and Taskmaster the Acolyte even to see what he picks up.
Yeah. See, this is an awkward spot because he went for the damage before he drew into his finisher. And so now... He's at that point where he just doesn't have the damage to keep going for it.
Right.
Because there's so many things that a Druid can do to just stop things in its tracks. Another Sludge Belcher, Druid of the Claw, Ancient of the Lore heal.
Alright, so just to armor up Shield Slam on Dr. Boom. Yeah, still in a pretty good spot. But now, the Druid can pretty cleanly and safely just sort of put down his Ancient Allure, I think. Or maybe even, since he's so low, do you think Cenarius is the right way to go with the 2 taunts?
Yeah. Because Ancient Allure, if he heals, it's basically just ineffective. I guess either way. Because either way, you're blocking 5 damage.
Right.
And Cenarius is a bigger body.
Yeah.
So either healing 5 damage or blocking 5 damage what's on the board.
Okay.
See
what he draws, yeah. Not much help right now when you're trying to finish the game.
No. It's really problematic. He can play Sylvanas, but then it's got the potential to get Keepered and then just trade it in for the Cenarius.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit weird.
Yeah, Baron Geddon would probably be the most valuable play, potentially, presuming Cenarius has to run in. You get 3 for 1.
Yeah.
But remember, that is just a token Trent as well. It's not exactly a card.
And either way, that Trent's going to die.
Yeah.
Because he would trade into it anyway with the Cruel Taskmaster, because it would die to the Baron Geddon. Looks like he's going to go with Sylvanas.
Yeah.
An ominous gentleman just walked behind Roger. Brushed him on the shoulder.
Go get him, buddy.
And another. It's still scary.
Yeah.
You have to deal with the Sylvanas, but at the same time, you're almost dead.
Yeah.
So if he steals your Cenarius there,
you don't have much that you can throw out either, just as a body that you feel great giving him.
Yeah, he needs to dig for keeper here.
Yeah.
So Wild Growth first, maybe into Ancient of Lore with... No, I don't know.
I think he's got to take the second Wild Growth, too, if he doesn't get it right now.
Yeah. Sludge Belcher.
That buys him a little time.
Yeah. You play the Shade as well.
Yeah.
Fill up his mana and take out the Armor Smith.
Probably, yeah.
Weaken his own Cenarius.
Now, he's seen one Shield Slam, too. So, is there any merit to just going to the face and removing all of the armor?
Probably. Well, no. Because...
Well, because, I mean, the thing that I'm thinking here... Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I like weakening his own... Oh, my goodness. This is incredible Baron Geddon, because he can clear the Shade and steal the Cenarius, because his Sylvanas is going to be at 2 health.
Will be at 2 health.
Whoa!
Unreal.
That's insane.
He's got to see it.
Yeah, I don't know if he even... Yeah, he's going to want it. Wow.
Very nice.
And he doesn't even have to waste the second charge here.
Yeah, I was going to say, just hang on to the weapon.
Yeah.
Armor up.
He does have a Death Bite. I don't know. Maybe he wants that. Maybe he values that.
Yeah, Trump's always trying to get as much value as he possibly can. That 1-2 is going to die anyway when you lay down Baron Geddon. Why burn the charge on it?
Exactly. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
That's scary.
And here we have another situation where he's going to have to draw into something in order to prevent death next turn.
He does have BGH, but BGH isn't enough. He can BGH...
No, he's got the weapon, exactly.
BGH Ancient of Lore heal would keep him alive.
Yeah.
But barely.
Yeah, just barely. And then he's got that Death's Bite to follow up as well.
Yeah, just a naked Gromish would win here. Acolyte of Pain, though.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well probably throw down the Acolyte at this point, don't you think?
Well, maybe save it. Just Death's Bite, go face with it. And then save it for next turn to try and draw into something.
What now?
But this isn't actually that strong of a play. He can Death's Bite here, but both of his execute's very reactive. He wants to get rid of that charge so he can set it for either Gromish, his Acolyte of Pain, or the execute the following turn. But other than that, he's just going to be trading, really.
Yeah.
Actually, he might use the execute now just to keep that Cenarius alive. That seems reasonable.
That's what it looks like he's thinking about doing. Weapon down the BGH, deal 5 to the face.
Yeah, he does throw it out.
Yeah.
Might as well. If he had to keep her on that, oh well. That's 4 mana that he's not using to like heal up. Or
Yeah. And Trump ever respectful of the potential Harrison play or something to punish him putting on the Death's Bite.
Got a Wild Growth.
Wild Growth and see where that leads you.
You have to think, what card could that be in his hand? He's had that card for a long time. You know it's not Gromish because it would have already been played. Can probably deduct that it's a weapon.
Can you?
I think so.
I think that's a pretty impressive read.
I think it's a read that I might be able to make.
All right. I like it. The self-confidence.
There's a lot of weapons.
All right. Well,
and usually a warrior won't hold on to a card like that for that long.
Well, Trump does manage to get the win, even with the second Death's Bite.
Yeah.
All right, Trump going up 2-0. And now he's going to have 3 games to find the win with the Paladin.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be too difficult. The one poor matchup is against the Rogue. Roger also has Warlock and Druid. So, I mean, Paladin can find wins against Warlock and Druid relatively easily. We've seen that all day today.
Yeah.
Paladins have been preying on the Druids and the Warlocks. So Roger just has to say, I need to pick up wins with these bad matchups.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's really hard.
Yep, it absolutely is. So we'll see which one he's going to go with. What one do you think is the most likely to keep him alive now and just get him to game 4?
Rogue is the most likely to keep him alive, but Roger doesn't seem like that kind of guy that just goes with what's going to keep him alive. He said, I know I got to win with Druid. Might as well just throw it out. I know I got to win with Warlock. Might as well throw it out.
Okay.
Trump, though, he's got to be so happy that he took a win with Warrior over that
absolutely.
Because he was trying, you could see in his face when he saw the Druid, he's like, oh,
he's
geez,
like,
here
oh,
we
great.
go.
Yeah.
And he was trying to dodge that matchup. That's the reason why he picked Warrior, because he was expecting something else.
Right.
And he actually does go. Roger does go with the Rogue, so trying to keep himself alive, not give Trump the satisfaction
yes.
of an easy 3-0.
Absolutely, which always, I mean, there's really no such thing as a moral victory. If you lost, you lost.
Yeah. I guess so.
Maybe there is such a thing as a moral victory. It's like, you know, you can't win them all, but you also shouldn't lose them all. You know?
That's a good way to look at it. So I at least want to go out 3-1. Okay,
Right,
guys?
right.
Tell us, teammates, you lost to Trump 3-0? No, it was 3-1. Thank you very much.
Yes, let's be fair.
I played Rogue. No, but we can't count him out yet. Even though those matchups later on will be a little bit rougher for him, we've seen players come back from 2-0 in Conquest. We saw a couple of them happen week 1 of Legendary Series. Those comebacks do exist, so the best way to do it is to start it off, get that momentum going, play the deck you think is going to be the strongest, try and hit your stride. Yeah. That's exactly what Roger's going to try and do.
All right, so Trump's already got the shielded mini-bot, the Juggler. And, yeah, Roger's just going to keep the Farseer.
Whoa. That's an okay hand so far.
Yeah.
Minion heavy is the way to go here. If you have a Fan of Knives in your opening hand as a rogue, you want to keep it.
Oh, yeah, it's against the mustard.
Yeah. Definitely don't want to get that mustard all over your shirt.
No, no, no.
And Fan of Knives is the way to prevent that.
All right, and I like this play. Right now, he's got the second knife juggler as well, so he's just kind of like, all right, if you got backstab, fair enough, you got backstab.
Yeah.
You know, I've got another one of these right where that came from if you do.
Yeah. He's actually going to eviscerate it, which is
eviscerate.
a wise choice.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when is you ever going to kill that knife juggler? If he plays Muster for battle the next turn, all right, I guess he coined it out. If he plays anything the next turn,
yeah, just about.
You're going to be punished for that. So, I mean, he sees the eviscerate, so now he can play the second knife juggler and be confident that. Well,
he's like, all right, so there's a 2 in 24 chance, so a 1 in 12 that he gets the backstab off the top.
If you had to eviscerate off the top to kill my last knife juggler,
means you probably don't have a deadly poison. Means a lot.
Yeah.
And then he just plays the Earthen Ring just for the 3/3 body as well.
He really wants to trade into it.
Yeah, but I think at this point trading into it is kind of doing Roger's work for him.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, Roger's probably just going to wind up equipping a dagger or something here. Although it is coming to turn 4. He's got both Violet Teachers.
Yeah, this is... He gets a Violet Teacher, but then he can't clear anything.
Right.
And he's going to get 2 juggles. Shielded mini-bot?
All right.
Most likely this Violet Teacher is going to go down.
All right, we'll see. We'll see how accurate the knife juggler can throw those knives.
If he gets
he dares you to put an apple on your head, so he better be good.
I mean, he can trade into the Earthen Ring Farseer now to increase the likelihood that he gets juggles on the Violet Teacher. But that's really hopeful, really wishful thinking.
Yeah, because then in order to trade with the Violet Teacher, they have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 50-50s is better than 2 33% chances, but...
He's going to try it.
Yeah. Oh, the first one's good.
If the second one doesn't hit, he's in trouble.
Oh! Both are good, and Trump.
Sly smile on his face. He's looking
almost even a look of a bit of shame, perhaps. Did he feel guilty for that one?
I'm sorry. Did you like that Violet Teacher? And he was also looking, I think, over at their Skype window. We talked earlier. They can see each other.
Right, right.
And he was saying, You're probably looking to see Roger's reaction, like, sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
And a nice Sludge Belcher right on time here.
Yeah.
This is looking pretty good for Trump right now. But, of course, Rogue, this matchup is really great for them. There's lots of big swing plays that they can make.
Sure. I mean, he's got the Tinkers in hand. He's also got a Sprint, which he'll be able to... Okay.
Like, Violet Teacher Sap here is such a strong play.
Yeah.
Because you're putting Violet Teacher on the board, allowing your Paladin Shredder... Ooh.
Is he going to prep Sprint?
If he does, I don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Violet Teacher is just so hard for Paladin to deal with.
Right.
And you're buying yourself so much time. You can, if your Violet Teacher lives, you prep Sprint next turn. You're getting yourself 2 tokens as well as the 4 cards that you're drawing. So
of course, yeah.
Violet Teacher Sap I like a lot more, but
I mean, he
mean,
wants to though.
Maybe he's hoping he draws into something else. Maybe he's planning on sapping it anyway.
Right.
There's a Fan of Knives.
All right, yeah.
So he gets some really high impact cards here.
Wow, and he chooses to take it down. That's not what you want to see.
That's actually terrible because if he uses oil later on and it goes on the Ancient Watcher, useless.
Yeah. And Trump's going to know that. He's just going to let that Ancient Watcher live all the rest of this match.
Yeah.
Unless he's forced into some sort of a Consecration Equality play.
Let's play Black Knight here.
Sure.
Look, he's at 11 health.
Oh boy.
I mean, he's only got 1 dagger charge. He doesn't have huge AoE. He's got a little bit of AoE. Okay.
Yeah. This looks. Let's see. So yeah, you start with the backstab. Okay.
Useless draw because he already has one.
Right.
He can SI Agent and Dagger.
Yeah.
But then he's got 5 damage facing on the board. He's at 10 health. Wow.
All right. Well, now the onus is on Trump to just seal the deal here.
Just Quartermaster.
Yeah.
Hero Power
just
Quartermaster.
Hero Power Quartermaster. Just put more pressure, more bodies on the board.
Yeah.
And Roger still hasn't found a Blade Flurry. You know, he hasn't had a good opportunity to lay down. He just picked up the Azure Drake after the sprint, so he hasn't really been able to lay down any spell power before he uses, like Fan of Knives for AoE. It's going to be really, really difficult for him to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, Trump's at like a top deck for a True Silver Champion to lethal with no board.
Yeah.
Backstab's a good draw. He can clear. No, he can't. Actually.
Yeah. This is rough. Got to see what you get from the Azure.
He needs prep. No, I don't know if there's any outs. Fan of Knives. Yeah, Fan of Knives would
Fan of Knives would definitely help.
I think second Fan of Knives might be his only out.
Well,
in this
Fan of Knives, though, if he... Okay, he thinks he's got a way to keep himself alive one more turn.
Huh?
Okay.
Sap the Quartermaster.
Not the usual target you want to give back to the Paladin when you haven't seen a muster for battle yet.
Well, he's dead because there's
a Consecration in hand. Oh.
Wow.
And he makes it even one step easier for Trump with the 3-0.
Wow. Trump with a 3-1 and then a 3-0 to start off his run here at the Legendary Series.
A really impressive day of Hearthstone all around for Trump.
Yeah. I really like his deck choices coming into the day as well. Warrior was the one I was a little on the fence about. But right now, meta slower. You can get away with playing Warrior. And then Mech Mage and Paladin, I think, are 2 of the strongest classes. Paladin going up against a weaker matchup in Rogue. There's still some times where they can just put out so much pressure early on. The Rogue can't deal with it. That's the way to beat the Rogue is pressure. And it was a little bit unfortunate, Roger. No answers to the Knife Jugglers early on. He just needed like a backstab or an SI agent or something. But Trump did play exceptionally well. Yeah, he absolutely did. And he has just earned himself a spot into the semifinals.
tomorrow. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to play both of the decider matches from the group stages to finish that out before we get into the semifinals. So we're going to have Lemurian, once again, if you weren't watching earlier, the surprise winner of Group A, up against either Kalento or Tom, and Trump playing either Silent Storm or Roger.
Yeah, so this bracket shaped up to be really impressive. And, I mean, the two invites had mixed performances. Kalento struggled a little bit, but brought it back in his second series. Trump dominating. Lemurian, probably the player that people knew the least about coming into this day. Had even more of an impressive performance than Trump, I'd say, in his run in his groups to the semifinals. But tomorrow's going to be really exciting, and
yeah,
the mix between the battle of the invites versus the battle of the Challenger Cup, it's really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to see tomorrow because even those elimination matches are just crazy stacked.
Yeah,
and then Lemurian looking at who he's got to have to play against to get into the grand final. How do you prepare for either of those players?
Yeah, Kalento has we said earlier, all of his information is like public.
Yeah,
you can see what Kalento was playing 15 minutes ago. You can go online and people are already posting all of his deck lists. So his information is usually public, but it's still a really tough matchup. Lemurian has the side of the surprise factor side. You really don't know much about him coming into this, but I mean, Kalento is just always hard to take down.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then of course Kalento might not even be the player going on. So it was Kalento versus Tom.
Right.
He plays the winner of.
Another BlizzCon player.
Another BlizzCon player. He's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Well, it has been an incredible day of Hearthstone. Just because the show is ending today doesn't mean the conversation has to end. Keep sending those tweets using the hashtag HLS at ESL Hearthstone. We'll keep the conversation going. I want to know what everybody at home thinks is going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be really possible to make very accurate predictions. This almost feels like one of these insane college basketball bracket challenges.
Yeah.
Even though there's only, you know, way less bracketology to worry about. Still, anybody's game tomorrow. And of course, we also want to give one last big shout out to our sponsors. That's Plantronics and Gigabyte. Thank you so much for making all this possible, for making this prize pool possible. And everybody at home, if you want to support HLS, the best way you can do that, besides just watching the show, is to check out these links below and maybe help yourself out improving your rig at home.
Yeah, these guys are all getting money, going home with money today. Even the players that were eliminated just for making it through, and none of that would be possible without the sponsors. And of course, we also do give away packs.
That's right. ESL.gg/legendary giveaway. You can see the link below right now. You can still sign up. There's still headsets to be won, packs to be won. TJ, we all know how partial you are to classic packs.
Warming up my clicking finger.
Yes, that's always the mini game of opening up packs. Is how quickly can you micro?
Yeah. Sometimes I like to savor it nice and slow. Just look at every card.
See
mouse
the glow
over with the
around
border.
It. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Any final words before we call it a night until tomorrow?
No, we talked about earlier in the day. These two groups were stacked.
Yeah.
A lot of these players very impressive. We had mixed results between the invites, the Challenger Cup, but I mean, I'm really excited to see any of the 6 players that we're going to see tomorrow at the LAN final. So it's going to be a really exciting day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We can't wait to see you tomorrow, and have a great night.